I thought it was a bit sad, really, to even feel that she had to justify her size and say to people why she got bigger. And really, she's had 3 kids, hasn't she? What's wrong with getting bigger when you've had 3 children?
Yeah, I don't think she's having... Well, she kind of does... She is having to justify herself because it's constantly being photographed and mentioned and being asked to do that kind of show. You know, she wouldn't be asked to do that show if she still looked like that. I think what's true is I don't think you intentionally, when you have kids, go, I've had kids now, I'm just going to, who cares? I'm just going to give up, let it all... I think the problem is your whole focus becomes your children. Your whole time becomes your children. You know, you're more interested in feeding them correctly and you'll go, I haven't got time now, I'll grab this and I'll grab that. And I think you just... Well, for me, I can only speak for me personally, I think all of a sudden you lose a bit of who you are because they're more important than you will ever be.
Jennifer's saying that, you know, a lot of the time she was just grabbing at food. You know, so rather than sitting down and eating and thinking about what she was doing, she's running around after kids. She said she got addicted to kind of fizzy drinks to give her a bit of a lift.
Yeah, but it's not just women who let themselves go.
No, exactly.
I mean, take a look at most men, you know,
yes, men.
Justify feeding the children or running out because knocking
out... Or giving birth to them.
Or giving birth to them, thank you for that lesson in biology, Colin. I wonder where children came from. I've been looking under my armpit and one hasn't popped out lately. But most men are not, you know, doing the... Of course, many are, but most of them are not. And yet we don't talk about men letting themselves go.
Yeah, but that's because women beat themselves up over everything, don't we? We beat ourselves up because we're mothers, we beat ourselves up because we're working too hard, because we don't get home enough, we beat ourselves up over everything. And I think the stress level alone makes you tend to forget who you are, particularly when you have children, because my baby was the only thing that I lived for, and I was married, and I do believe, and I was only thinking about this the other night, I do believe I let myself go, because I only thought about her, I didn't care about anything else at all, and my husband went out of my mind, I didn't care about him anymore, and I know that it sounds really selfish and it was just very stressful, and I think what happened with me now, I look back and I realise why he had an affair. I'm not justifying him having an affair. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I wasn't there anymore. I didn't care about the relationship anymore. You kind of are saying that, though, Sherry. You kind of are saying that because you're saying, I didn't look like I looked when he met me. I didn't. You know, I'd stopped kind of maybe making so much an effort. Therefore, he went and had an affair, as if that's almost justification.
But do you not think that that's what women think, though? Because a lot of the times, I would say, the majority of the times when, say, men go off and have affairs, you'll hear the woman going, you know, she was 10 years younger than me, she's 3 sizes smaller than me. So we have that fixation of, if he leaves me, it's because of the way I've looked. Whereas sometimes when, you know, I know women go off and have an affairs, but normally it's because, you know, he wasn't being very nice to me or we just didn't get on anymore. It's very rarely... I think because of the way he looks.
But often in relationships, for all this, you know, one side not putting themselves first and, you know, getting a bit larger, often in a long-running relationship, you look at people and they both started to look the same.
Yeah. They do morph into each other.
Yeah, they do kind of morph into each other.
People get comfortable sometimes, don't they? Which is a nice thing in a way.
Yeah,
I do think if both people aren't
bothered, and it's going to end in tears and end in the end of a relationship, because it could mean that they're in a very well-attuned relationship. Yeah. But talking about people letting themselves go, weren't you amazed that this headmistress last week in Darlington sent out a letter to parents saying, can you please not drop your children off at school in your pyjamas? Yeah. So I thought, well, hang on a minute. That's a brilliant example of letting yourself go. And now a post office, which is also in Darlington, I think it must be the pyjama-selling capital of the world, a post office in Darlington has said they will not serve people wearing pyjamas.
Not moving to Darlington.
My thing about letting yourself go is if you do feel that you have to drop your kids off in your pyjamas, it's telling kids that it's okay to go around like that.
And also, if you, also, and I was just trying to justify what I was just saying, was that actually when I realised, when I looked back and I looked like I had let myself go, I didn't bother with myself anymore, there was something wrong with the relationship anyway,
yes.
and so I wasn't trying you know, I wasn't trying anymore, and maybe I wanted it to end psychologically.
I think, I think if you let go of trying in a relationship, so if you're letting go of caring about that person, bothering how their day was, not communicating, but I think actually people should be more accepting. When you get older, you put on a few pounds, you know, you're going to get varicose veins.
Yeah.
And I think it's harsh and harder probably for women when they've had children, and several children.
Yeah.
I think it is, but I think we need to stop being so...
hard on ourselves?
Hard on ourselves, but also being able to take... You know, if you ask your partner, you know, do you still fancy me at this size than you did when I was a size 10? And he goes, no. Then try not to be so... You've asked the question.
You've asked the question.
Try not to be offended and go, well, you know what, fair enough.
So, Janet, you've been married 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So when was the point that you realised you'd let yourself go?
My body is always held in check.